Hi dear, welcome back to Timeless Wisdom. Have you ever looked around after cleaning and still felt like your home looks untidy? You're not alone. Today, I'm going to uncover the 7 common mistakes that keep so many homes feeling cluttered, no matter how much effort goes into cleaning. The truth is, you might be putting in double the work without realizing how a few overlooked habits can make all the difference. In the next few minutes, I'll walk you through exactly what's holding your space back and show you simple ways to fix these issues, so you can finally transform the feel of your home. If you've ever felt that frustration of not being able to keep things in order, even after hours of tidying, don't worry. What I'm about to share will help you save time, ease your stress, and achieve that warm, organized atmosphere you've always wanted. And here's the good news. Most of these problems can be solved in less than 10 minutes each, with almost no extra cost. Often, it's not a lack of cleaning that's the problem, it's small habits quietly working against you. Let's dive in and discover the 7 hidden mistakes that could be making your home feel messy, and how you can turn things around with just a few simple tweaks. Error 1. Overloaded surfaces. The first mistake that makes your home look disorganized, even when it isn't, is cluttered surfaces. This is probably the most common problem and also the easiest to fix, but many people don't realize how drastically it affects the appearance of a room. When we look at a living room, kitchen, or bedroom, our eyes naturally fixate on horizontal surfaces like tables, counters, dressers, and nightstands. When these areas are cluttered with objects, even if they are organized, our brain interprets the entire space as messy. The problem is that the surfaces of the house tend to act as magnets for all sorts of objects: mail, keys, glasses, remote controls, cell phone chargers, and a myriad of small items. Little by little, without us even realizing it, these areas become completely overrun. The solution to this mistake is surprisingly simple. Adopt the 60-40 rule. This means that only 60% of any surface should contain objects, while 40% should remain completely free. This ratio creates a visual balance that makes all the difference in the perception of the organization of the room. To implement this rule, start by removing absolutely everything from one surface at a time. Thoroughly clean the area, and then replace only the items that really need to be there, respecting the 60% limit. One woman who applied this technique to her living room told me that visitors began to compliment her on the renovation she had done, when in fact she had simply removed excess objects from the surfaces. The most impressive thing is that this change does not require any financial investment, just a little discipline and judgment in deciding what really deserves to take up space in the most visible areas of the house. In addition to creating an immediate impression of organization, freer surfaces also make daily cleaning easier and create a sense of calm and space that positively affects our emotional well-being when we are at home. Error 2. Improper storage. The second mistake that can make your home look disorganized is inadequate storage. Many people simply don't have proper places to store their belongings, which inevitably leads to visible clutter. The problem is that without a storage system designed for your specific needs, items end up sitting out in plain sight in makeshift locations or piled up in a disorganized manner. Often, people try to solve this problem by buying more furniture or organizing accessories without first considering what they really need to store. The solution starts with an honest assessment of the items you own and the space available to store them. The key principle here is that every item needs to have a designated home, a specific place to which it returns after use. To implement this solution, take a quick inventory of the items that are usually on display in your home. Group them by category, then identify or create appropriate places to store them. Remember that ideal storage should balance accessibility with appearance. Items that you use daily should be easily accessible, while items that are used less frequently can be stored in less convenient locations. One family who used this technique told me that they had a particularly hard time with children's toys scattered around the living room. They came up with 3 storage solutions: decorative baskets for daily toys, a box under the couch for games and puzzles, and an area in the closet for occasionally used items. In just 1 week, the living room looked much more organised, even at the end of the day when the kids had played. The great thing about this principle is that it doesn't necessarily require buying new furniture or accessories. Often, all it takes is to re-evaluate how we're using the storage space we already have. Poorly organised closets and drawers often have much more capacity than we realise. By correcting this mistake, you'll not only improve the appearance of your home, but you'll also save time because you'll always know where to find what you need. Mistake 3. Hoarding unnecessary items. The third mistake that turns your home into a cluttered space is the accumulation of unnecessary items. This is a particularly challenging problem because it is related to our spending habits and our difficulty in getting rid of things. Many homes look disorganized simply because they contain far more objects than the space comfortably holds. The problem is that in today's society, we are constantly encouraged to buy and accumulate, but rarely taught to discard and simplify. Gradually, our closets, drawers, and storage spaces become overwhelmed, and items begin to overflow into the visible areas of the house. The solution to this mistake requires a change in mindset. We need to adopt the habit of regularly evaluating our belongings and getting rid of what is no longer useful, functional, or meaningful. This does not mean that you need to become a radical minimalist, but rather develop a more critical eye for what really deserves to take up space in your home. To implement this solution, start with the 4-box method. Separate items to keep, donate, sell, or discard. Dedicate just 15 minutes a day to a small area or category of items. One woman who has tried this method told me a fascinating story. She had been saving a set of old silverware for over 10 years for special occasions, but she never used it. When she finally gave it away, she not only freed up space in her closet, but also felt an unexpected emotional relief. The most amazing thing about this principle is how it has a positive ripple effect. The fewer items you own, the easier it is to organize the ones that remain, clean up your space, and find what you need. Plus, many people report that by reducing their possessions, they are able to appreciate the items that really matter more. This is also a principle that becomes easier with practice. At first, it may be difficult to decide what to keep or discard, but over time, you will develop clear criteria and the process will become almost intuitive. Between tips 3 and 4, I want to make a special invitation. If you are enjoying these tips that are transforming the lives of so many people, be sure to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to receive more content like this. Leave a comment telling me where you're watching this video from. I love knowing that I am helping people from different places. Now, let's continue with more valuable tips that will transform your home. Error 4. Lack of organization systems. The fourth mistake that makes your home look disorganized is the lack of organizational systems. Many people confuse the act of tidying up with the act of organizing, but they are different concepts. Tidying up is a temporary action, while organizing involves creating systems that make it easier to maintain order in the long term. The problem is that without proper systems, even after a room has been completely tidied up, the clutter quickly returns because there is no structure to keep things in order. The solution to this mistake is to develop simple, functional systems for the everyday activities that naturally generate clutter. These systems should be so easy to use that they become automatic for everyone in the family. To implement this solution, identify the spots in your home where clutter tends to accumulate most quickly. These are usually transitional areas like the entryway, the kitchen, and the bathroom. Then create specific systems for each of these critical spots. For example, in the entryway, you could install hooks for bags and keys, a small tray for mail, and a designated spot for shoes. In the kitchen, consider creating workstations for different activities, with all the necessary items organised by function. One family with 3 children who implemented organisational systems told me about a remarkable transformation. They created a system for the children's school supplies. Each child had a basket with their name on it, where they kept books, notebooks, and homework. Backpacks had designated hooks in the entryway. The result was impressive. The house seemed consistently more organised, and mornings before school became much less chaotic. The great thing about this principle is that well-designed systems not only keep the house visually organised, but they also save time and reduce the daily stress associated with not finding what you're looking for or having to constantly rearrange the same spaces. A good organisational system works no matter who uses it, reducing the need to constantly remind other family members where to put things. Mistake 5. Visual clutter. The 5th mistake that makes your home look messy, even when it's clean, is visual clutter. This is a subtle but powerful mistake that drastically affects how we perceive a space. Visual clutter occurs when there is too much visual stimulation in a space. Too many contrasting colours, clashing patterns, different objects that don't match each other, exposed cables, visible product labels, and other small visual disturbances. The problem is that our brains process all this visual information, even if we don't consciously realise it, and this creates a sense of chaos and disorganisation, regardless of how physically tidy the space is. The solution to this mistake is to create visual harmony through simplification and coherence. To implement this solution, start by visually auditing your home, paying special attention to the areas that are most frequently used. Look for sources of visual clutter, too many strong patterns competing with each other, collections of objects that aren't arranged in a coherent way, mismatched colours, exposed electronic device cables, drawers, and cabinets without doors showing different contents. One couple who applied this principle to their living room told me that they made 3 simple changes. They moved cleaning products and food from colourful containers to neutral, uniform containers. They organised books on the bookshelf by size and colour, and they hid all the cords from their electronic devices without buying anything new, and without throwing out much of anything. The room instantly felt more organised and calm. The most fascinating thing about this principle is that it often doesn't require major changes to the contents of the home, just the way it's presented visually. Small changes like standardising containers, organising items by colour or size, and hiding utilitarian elements like cords and labels can completely transform the perception of a space. In addition to creating an immediate impression of organisation, reducing visual clutter has proven benefits for our mental well-being, reducing stress and increasing a sense of calm when we're at home. Error 6. Inconsistent maintenance. The 6th mistake that can make your home look cluttered is inconsistent maintenance. This mistake is particularly insidious because many people go through cycles of intense decluttering, followed by periods of complete abandonment of their tidying routines. The problem is that keeping a home organised is not a one-time event, but rather an ongoing process. When we take an all-or-nothing approach to decluttering, we inevitably fall into a pattern of ups and downs. The house looks spotless after a full day of cleaning, but gradually returns to chaos until the next big cleaning effort. The solution to this mistake is to adopt the principle of daily minimal maintenance. This simple but powerful concept involves establishing small daily routines that prevent clutter from accumulating, rather than allowing it to build up to a critical point. To implement this solution, create a list of 5-minute maintenance tasks for each major area of the house. These should be very simple and quick tasks, such as wiping down the bathroom sink after use, putting away clean clothes immediately after they dry, and putting the mail in its designated place as soon as it arrives. A single mom with 2 jobs who implemented this system told me an inspiring story. She used to dedicate her rare days off to tidying up her house, only to have it return to chaos within a few days. By adopting 3 5-minute routines a day, one in the morning, one when she got home from work, and one before bed, she was able to keep her house consistently presentable without sacrificing any of her free time. The great thing about this principle is that small, consistent actions are much more effective than large, one-off efforts. 5 minutes a day adds up to over 30 hours a year of decluttering, spread out in a way that prevents clutter from accumulating. Plus, small, manageable routines are much more likely to become permanent habits than large decluttering sessions. This principle also eliminates the stress and guilt associated with having a disorganized home for long periods between big cleanings. Error 7. No defined zones. The 7th and final mistake that makes your home look disorganized is the lack of defined zones. Many people allow activities to spread throughout the house without clear boundaries, which inevitably leads to a feeling of chaos and disorganization. The problem is that when we do not clearly define where each activity should take place, objects related to different functions begin to mix together throughout the house. We find work materials on the dining table, personal hygiene items in the living room, clothes in the office, and so on. The solution to this mistake is to implement the functional zone system. This concept consists of clearly defining specific areas for each type of activity that takes place in the home and ensuring that all objects related to that activity remain in that zone. To implement this solution, start by making a list of all the main activities that regularly take place in your home: work, study, play, exercise, relax, cook, etc. Then designate specific areas for each of these activities, even if they are small or shared with other functions at different times. A retired couple who implemented this system told me about a remarkable transformation in their home. They created specific zones for reading, crafts, watching TV, and using the computer. Each zone had its own storage system for all the items related to that activity. The result was that even without reducing the amount of stuff they owned, the house felt much more organized because everything had a logical, designated place. The most fascinating thing about this principle is how it naturally facilitates organization. When each activity has its designated space, putting things away becomes intuitive. You don't have to decide where to put each item. Just return it to its corresponding zone. In addition, well-defined zones help to prevent leakage of activities into other areas of the house, which is a major cause of general clutter. This system also makes it much easier for all family members to participate in keeping things organized because the rules are clear and logical. Before we get to the next tip, I have something exciting to share with all of you who are part of the Timeless Wisdom family. For those who want to go deeper and truly master the art of home organization, I've created a special guide that's filled with the very strategies and secrets that turned my own space around. If you're interested, you'll find the link pinned in the comments. And as a thank you to our subscribers, there's a special discount available for a short time. All right, let's jump back in. These next few tips are some of my personal favorites. Now that we've uncovered the 7 most common mistakes that make homes feel disorganized, I want you to remember one thing. Organization isn't about creating a flawless, picture-perfect space. It's about building a home that supports your daily life and makes you feel comfortable and at ease. What really matters is how your home works for you, not whether it looks like a magazine cover. You don't need to overhaul everything all at once. Pick just one area to focus on this week. Maybe you'll start by clearing off a countertop or by setting up a simple routine for your entryway. Consistent, small steps will lead to the biggest, most lasting changes. And don't be discouraged if things get a little messy now and then. That's just real life. Staying organized is a process, not a final achievement, What counts is building habits and simple systems that help you get back on track whenever life gets busy. What I hear most from viewers is that tackling these small mistakes doesn't just make their homes look better. It gives them a sense of calm and confidence that spills over into other areas of life. So, which of the 7 mistakes are you ready to tackle first? Let me know in the comments and keep us posted on your journey. Your stories inspire others too. Thank you so much for being here with Timeless Wisdom. I'm looking forward to hearing about your progress. See you in the next video.